there voltage modular people, PoohBear here and welcome to my channel. I'm only going to be doing a high level overview of the actual lead itself because most of it's actually quite a box standard setup. I will talk a little bit more in detail when we come down to this area because I am using the envelope follower and an LFO to control the feedback because I used quite a heavy amount of feedback going through the system. But as I say, everything else is quite standard and quite straightforward. So let's see if I can actually get my zoom program to work today and see if we can actually get to zoom in. So very straightforward. I'm just using a bank of oscillators. I'm using two saws which are slightly detuned. I've also got a square which is being controlled via this sine wave over here. So in this width port, that controls the actual pulse width of that particular square itself. So nothing special there, just going into a little mixer. I would say obviously the square is slightly louder, but they're very similar sort of setups. And then I've got my two saws, and then I've got myself a bit of noise. I'm using a bit of white noise as well to come along here. So from obviously the mixer, then we're going into a simple filter. That filter is being controlled via this gate here, sorry, this envelope here. This envelope has got a lot of movement on the modulation on the sustain. So this sustain, as you can see, it's actually moving now. Does go up quite high, and that's what gives it its kind of distorted. So it sounds quite plucky, so that'll be sounding quite plucky-ish. And as it gets around, it's going to start going a bit more distorted. And we've also got movement on the frequency of the filter as well, so it's obviously changing that around as well. So nothing else really special going on. Then obviously we go from the filter into an amp, voltage control amp, so we're controlling that signal via a separate envelope. Nothing special is going on with that envelope, it's just set up and that's it. I'm not changing it at all. And then from that I'm going into two different well, I've got the delay unit and I've got the space unit. Now the delay unit at the moment is actually, I did actually have that muted out. So let's actually unmute that and actually have a listen to that. So this is the controlling the feedback, and the feedback's being controlled by, it's got is it a ramp? Let's have a look. Now we've got a triangle, so it's got a triangle actually on the feedback, which is bringing that feedback in and out, but it's also being controlled by this envelope follower, and it does get quite loud as well. The envelope follower was sort of tracking the volume level so the feedback doesn't go too high. So as the feedback gets higher, the envelope follower will actually force the feedback to go down, and then obviously as it goes down in volume, the envelope follower is then dropping off, and because that's dropped off, we're going back into a scenario. So it's got itself a nice little loop going on, but the way I've got it set up at the moment, it's not really, you can't really hear it that effectively. So what we can actually do to that, I've also got this Boolean logic set up, which is actually taking a gate information out of the envelope follower as well as the actual control output. So it's taking them both in. We could take this out and actually force this to be a lot more, and it's this feedback on this remote. I'll talk about that in a second. And I might actually end up putting, let's have a look, see what's going on at the top. So you're right, so you can see movement. I'm going to put two of these in just so you can see loads of movement going on, because it's very hard to hear it actually at the moment, but it's actually, as I say, it was working. And let's undo this. You can hear the feedback going. I'm going to play a note. And now you can hear the feedback's more on the end of the notes now, so obviously we're not playing it. Take my hand off, we should get a real lot of feedback going. And now it's actually going to be fighting itself. You can see it fighting itself. As it gets higher, it's going to start fighting itself by going, oh! And now it's going to get quieter. It should actually start springing up again. But that's how I've got that kind of set. It was more of an experiment. To be honest, I think within the actual project itself, without a doubt, is the triangle, which is controlling the feedback a lot more. But the envelope follower is, as you can see, kicking in. It is controlling that feedback to stop it from going really, really high. So if we actually follow down, as I say, so I'm just using that envelope follower, so I'm taking the feed from that particular source. So nothing special there. Again, I'm using the spanners a lot. As I say, the spanners, again, control volume levels and panning. And obviously I'm controlling a lot of the remotes as well to control the stuff with. Now, what I recommend if you use the remote control units, do use labels, because it's really hard to track what is what. And if you're using multiple remotes and you're using multiple devices, especially the same, so I've got quite a lot of the filters in this, and I've got a number of the filters as well, which I'm actually remote controlling, so it's not just one. It starts to get a bit confusing, because it just come up as this label, fixed control voltage, and you're like, which fixed control voltage are we talking about? Because there could be several. Let me just zoom out a second. However, two little things I say, by using a label, obviously I can see it's for my lead, and the way I set my racks up or my cabinets up, I can say, oh yeah, this is my lead cabinet, so I'm looking for a voltage fixed control lead, yeah, so I can find that one quite easily. Another way you can do it is if you've got a blank one, you can click on, say, a blank one, and you can see it tells you, but obviously as I'm using multiple control, it's saying control 1, control 1. Well, it's quite obvious there. This one is saying feedback, and this one is saying controlled mixers. So it's a little bit easier, but it's now giving me a little bit of feedback, and obviously down here, like control 8, well, there's nothing plugged into that control 8, so it has to be this one. But I know it's this one as well because it says lead. So, I'm just doubling up. So just a little tip is, yeah, use your labels on something like the remote control. Even for a basic setup, you might want to do it. It just sort of really does help, especially when the projects start to grow. As I said, this is just going to be a very, very high level overview of the lead. There isn't anything really special going on. As I say, I was just doing this little special thing to try and control the feedback. But to be honest, I think most of that feedback was controlled, as I said, via this particular triangle. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.